you about how to how to override parent class methods in the child class. Next, I explained you about operator overloading. We talked about the concept of the operator overloading. Okay. Third thing also is only about hiding. How to do hiding of your code. So that also has just been shown in the previous class. Actually, our discussion is about Saturday. We stopped at here, static versus dynamic polymorphism. The continuation topic is about operator overloading, guys. Yeah, yesterday what I thought is about that only. What is operator overloading? If you remember, I already explained about method overloading to you. What is method overloading? It is an approach of defining a method with multiple behaviors, correct? Method is one, but behaviors are different, and the behaviors will vary based on the parameters. What is it? Number, order, count, the number of parameters, the order of parameters, the type of parameters. Based on this, means everything changes based on the parameters. Operator overloading is also similar. What is that? It is an approach of defining multiple behaviors to an operator. It's an approach of defining multiple behaviors to an operator, and those behaviors will vary based on the operand types, not parameter types. What is it? Operand types. For example, if I use plus between numbers, it is a addition. And at the same time, remember, if you use plus between strings, it's a concatenation. Did you understand or not? If the plus is used between numbers, that is a addition. If a plus is used between strings, it is a concatenation. Operator is same only, plus. But when used between numeric operands, it is working like addition. And if you use between string operands, it is working like concatenation. Are you guys clear or not? Okay. So what is it? It is an approach of defining multiple behaviors to an operator, which varies based on the operands between which we use the operator. For example, plus is an addition operator when used between numeric operands, and is a concatenation operator when used between string operands. You can say number plus number is addition, string plus string is concatenation. The behavior for an operator is predefined. The behavior for an operator is predefined. Last class I said you, for operators also the behavior is predefined actually. That is, developers or designers of the language have already implemented logic that must be executed when an operator is used between two operands under the libraries of the language with the help of a special method. What is the method called? Operator method. And if you just check out the syntax of the operator method, this is how the operator methods are defined. Check the syntax. Modifiers, static, type in the sense return type. Type in the sense return type, operator, OPT, operand types. Say, first important rule, operator methods must be static only. They cannot be non-static. They must be static. That is the first important point. Okay. Next, the return type refers to what? The return type of the method. The type basically refers to the return type of the method actually. What is the meaning? That is, when an operator is used between two types, what should be the result type? When I use a plus between two integers, what should be the result? Integer. When I use a equal operator between two integers, what should be the return type? Boolean. That's what the return type is. Third thing, operator is name of the method. See here, operator. The operator is the name of the method, which should be in lowercase and cannot be changed. It's in lowercase, not Pascal case, all of you. It's in lowercase and you cannot change this name. Next, OPT refers to the operator for which we want to write behavior, like a plus or minus or equal, whatever it is. And lastly, operand types. Operand types refers to the type of operands between which we want to use the operator. Means I want to use this operator between integers or strings or string and integer or integer and string, whatever it is. And here are some examples to you see. Here are some examples of the operator method. Last class I already shown you. We already learned about writing these operator methods in the last session. And very importantly, remember the last point. What are they? Same as the above, we can also define operator methods for using an operator between new type of operands. We can use this for using it with new type of operands actually. So last class what we done, we have defined a new operator method for using plus between two matrices. By default, we cannot use a plus operator between two matrices, but we have done it yesterday. Okay, next, look at this, read it. To test operator overloading, method overriding, hiding or shadowing, add new class, naming it as the matrix under the project and write the below code. We have shown all these things in this example. I have shown operator overloading in the code. I have shown method overriding in the code. And I have shown hiding or shadowing also in that. See, look. ToString, what you learned? Overriding. Plus and minus operator. We have just defined the two new operator methods. Equal and not equal. We have re-implemented this by using the concept of hiding or shadowing because already they are implemented in the parent. Where this will do reference equal comparison, we change it to values equal comparison. And this will do reference not equal comparison, we change it to values not equal comparison. Okay, read this paragraph. Understand, by default, when you call it on in the instance, what will ToString return you? Name of the class. Are you clear? What it returns you? Name of the class. Understand, ToString method is virtual under the object class. So child classes can override that method as per the requirement. Are you clear or not? And what they can do, they can change the behavior of that method. So the new method will return values that are associated with matrix, but not the type name. Originally it is type name, but now it is values. Next. Read it. See, these methods are already implemented in the object class, but what is the original behavior? Reference equal, reference not equal. And we can also change the behavior of those operator methods by using the concept of hiding, but not overriding because they are not declared as virtual, as we done in our matrix class. So that now the two operators will now perform. So that the two operators will now perform values equal and values not equal comparison in place of reference equal and reference not equal comparison. Okay. And to consume all the things, we have defined a new class called as test matrix. And inside the test matrix, you can see created 4 instances of the matrix, performing matrix arithmetic, printing all the values, and also performing matrix equal comparison, matrix not equal comparison. Okay, read. ToString method on that instance. Matrix class ToString method, which returns the values that are associated with matrix instance, spends a minute 2 by 2 matrix format. And remember, this is dynamic polymorphism. A parent reference that is created by a child instance will call child class overridden members, but cannot call pure child class members. What they can call? Child class overridden members. And we call that as dynamic polymorphism. Okay. This is all what I taught you guys in the last session. This is all what I taught you in the last class. In the last class, these are the things what I was explaining for you in this. So what we covered there, we learned about a new concept called as operator methods. Second, we learned where to use overriding. Third, we learned where to use hiding or shadowing. All these things are incorporated into that. So that we completed method overloading, we completed operator overloading also. The next topic is constructor overloading. Okay, what is that? Constructor overloading. What is constructor overloading? Guys, listen. Just like you can overload methods in a class, just like you can overload methods in a class, you can also overload constructors of a class. I repeat, just like we can overload methods in a class, we can also overload constructors in a class. Arey, constructor is also method only, na? Constructor is also method only. Just like you overloaded methods, now we can overload the constructors in your class now. For example, I'm defining a class here. We'll name it as yeah, test overload cons. Okay, now I'm defining a new class with the name called test overload cons. Now in this, let me write another class also, guys. Internal class overload cons. Two classes are there. One is overload cons and the second one is test overload cons. Okay, in the first class, I want to declare two fields, int I, bool b, and write a method, public void display. Print the two values now. Console dot write line. Value of I is, and value of B is. Is that clear? Value of I is so and so. Value of B is so and so. Trying to print both the two values. Now, I want to create the instance of this class. Which class? Overload cons. In test overload cons. So let me write a main method here. Create the instance of the class. And do remember a point. What it is? In this class, you did not define any constructor explicitly. So the constructor what we have is an implicit constructor, right? So overload cons is equals to new overload cons. And do you remember, implicit constructors will always initialize the fields of a class with default values. So I is initialized with 0, B is initialized with false. So if I call this method now C1 dot display, what is the output you get now? I value 0, B value false. Why? Because the constructor is default constructor and the default constructor will initialize the fields with default value. Okay? But what I taught you in the last week, array, if you don't want to initialize the fields with default value, if you don't want to initialize the fields with default value, and if you want to initialize with a values of your choice, you need to define a parameterized constructor in the class and initialize the fields. Yes or not? No, sir, I don't want default values. I want to give some values to them. You want to give some values? Okay, then define a parameterized constructor in the class. Okay, come on guys, let's define a parameterized constructor. How you write? Public overload cons. Have a look. Entire will be initializing. Once you do that, sorry. Yeah, once you do that, we don't have a default constructor in the class now. What do we have? Parameterized constructor. So now see, passing values is mandatory. Look here, passing values is mandatory. Earlier we have default constructor. So this code worked. But now we don't have a default constructor. So we should pass the values explicitly here. Am I right or wrong? So let us pass. 10. True. So the value 10 goes to I now. The value true goes to B. And now you get the values. I did not teach anything newly, guys. I already taught you all these concepts in the last week. Last week, we learned about constructors. In the constructors, I explained about all these concepts to you. Nothing was taught newly to you. But what I'm trying to teach you newly is, we never tried, but we can have both constructors in your class. See now, you have two constructors in the class. So earlier, we have only one option. What option? Either you can pass values or you cannot pass values. Either or. But now both are there. Means you can initialize the fields either with a default value by creating an instance calling default constructor, or you can create an instance by passing the values and initialize with your own set of values also. Two chances are there now. Earlier, when I did not pass value, I got error, remember? But see, no error now. Now, if I create an instance by using this, what happens? I'm sorry. Yeah, what is called? Default constructor. And initializing the fields with default values. Okay? Same way, we have an option to create an instance by passing a given set of values also. See, now see, these are two separate instances. First case, it is initialized with default values. Second case, initialized with the given set of values. Internally, two memories are allocated, man. Every instance will have separate memory now. Under first instance, I value is 0, B value is false. In the second instance, I value is 10 and B value is true. Did you understand me? So two options here. What are the two options? Initialize all the fields with default values. Initialize all the fields with given values. Did you understand me? Initialize all the fields with default values or initialize all the fields with given values. Okay, here. Initializes all fields with default values. Yeah. Initializes all fields with given set of values. Are you getting my point or not? So two options, either with default value, either with given set of values. Third option is there. What is the third option? Some with default values and some with given set of values. I understand here all are default, all are given. But this chance also is there. Some default and some given. How? Public overload cons int I. Now what I'm writing, this dot I is equals to I. Now you say I'm only initializing I and B will have default value now. Say B is initialized with default value now. Same like this, you can refine one more now. What? Public overload cons will be this dot B is equals to B. And here I is initialized with default value. I is initialized with default value. Here B is initialized with default value. I is initialized with default value. Here both I and B are initialized with given set of values, and both are initialized with default values. See, 4 constructors in the code now. Now, when you come here, I can even create the 4 different variety of instances. C2, passing value only for I. So B should be default. C3, passing value only for B. So that, you see now, 4 instances created, and we have different set of values. First, both are default. I don't understand online students. Why are going out, coming in, going out, coming in? Can't you stay constantly? Why you are fluctuating mind? I could see here it is irritating here, messages coming here, going out, going out. Why your minds are fluctuating, man? See the first scenario. Both are initialized with. Second, I with given value, B with default value. Third, I with default value, B with given value. 4, I and B with given values. So this is the basic concept of constructor overloading. What is constructor overloading, Method overloading means multiple behaviors to a method. Operator overloading means multiple behaviors to operator. But constructor overloading means not multiple behaviors to a constructor. What is constructor overloading? Constructor overloading is an approach to initialize the fields of a class in 3 different varieties. I repeat, constructor overloading is an approach to initialize the fields of a class in 3 different varieties. What are the 3 varieties? Option 1, all fields with default values. Option 2, all fields with given set of values. Option 3, tell me some fields with default values, some fields with given set of values. That's what we have done now. Understood or not? But guys, do you know what is the problem here? The problem is, how many fields we have? 2. How many constructors we define? Why permutations and combinations are 4 now? Suppose if I have 3 fields now, imagine if there are 3 fields, how many constructors should I define? We need to again do a permutation and combination calculation here now. First, default. Second, only one. Suppose 3 fields are there, A, B, C. Only A, only B, only C. Okay? AB, AC, BC, ABC. 8 constructors will come. If 4 fields are there, 16 constructors will come. If 5 fields are there, 32 constructors will come. Permutations and combinations here, we learned in the school days, na? The permutations and combinations. If there are 5 fields tomorrow, the number of constructors you require to define in your code will be 32. 6 fields, 64. How do you calculate, sir? Simple. 2 power n, where n is the number of fields. Today, how many fields you have? 2. If there is 1 field, 2 constructors. 1 field, 2 power 1, 2 constructors. What is it? 0, 1. 2 fields, 4 constructors. Say 0, only I, only B, only A, only B, A and B. 3 are there. Just now we calculated. It's a lengthy process here, really a lengthy process. How to simplify this, I'll tell you later. How to simplify this lengthy process, I'll tell you later. But as of now, remember this mathematics. What is that? If there are 5 fields in a class, if there are n fields in a class, and if we want to initialize them in a mix and match combination, if you want to initialize them in a mix and match combination, the number of constructors we need to define will be 2 power n, where n is the number of fields. If there are 10, then it is 2 power 10 is what the number of constructors you require to define in the class, which is going to become a very, very lengthy work for us. I will tell you how to simplify this going forward. If you remember this, later I will tell you how to simplify this particular concept. Understood me or not? Yeah, read it. Just like methods in a class can be overloaded, constructors in a class also can be overloaded, and it is called as constructor overloading. It's an approach of defining multiple constructors in a class, and if constructors of a class are overloaded, then instance of that class can be created by using any available constructor. That is, it is not mandatory to call any particular constructor for instance creation. See in our code now, 4 constructors are there. We are able to create 4 instances by calling 4 different constructors now. That is what? You can create the instance by calling any of the available constructor. There is no restriction like you're required to call only this constructor or this constructor. Anything can be called. Okay now? See, to test this, add a new code file under the project. Name it as test overload cons and write the code. 2 classes are there, Gary. First class, overload cons with all the 4 constructors. See. And a display method. Second class, test overload cons. Here I created the instances and I called up the display method. Okay. Read this. We get a chance to initialize fields of the class in 3 different varieties. First one, with a default or parameterless constructor defined in class, we can initialize all fields of that class with default values. All the fields are initialized with default values now. Second, with a parameterized constructor defined in class, we can initialize all fields of that class with the given values now. Third one, this is also parameterized only here. 2 and 3 are parameterized only. 2 is all, 3 is some. Some default, some parameterized. Okay, read the note. Initialize them in a mix and match combination. Understand, it's a mix and match combination. Then we overload constructors and the number of constructors to be defined will be 2 power n, where n is the number of attributes. In our above class, we have 2 attributes, so we have defined 4 constructors. Are you clear? We have 2 attributes and the number of constructors we defined are 4. 4 constructors are what we have defined in this context. Is it clearer or not? Okay, so that is how exactly we define the things in this particular place now. Number of constructors and overloading. Is that clear, all of you? Overload constructors. I will tell you how to simplify this going forward. Okay. Next, we need to learn something about copy constructor. What is that? Copy constructor. What is copy constructor? See, listen. I'm adding a class here. I will name the class as copy con demo. Let me show what is a copy constructor parallelly so that you'll understand it better. Guys, watch it. In this class, what I'm doing, see. 3 fields. Defined a constructor and initializing them through the constructor. Imagine if I pass the ID, the rest of the values will come from database. I said to you about the ATM system case study, remember? Or you pass the ID, it will load the data from the database. We don't know database communication yet. That's why I'm giving static values. But what I said to you, I taught you on that day already. Going forward, all these values will come from the database. For the time being, we are using static values. Finally, we'll change them to dynamic. Okay, now? Well, very simple. And then I want to write a display method to print the values. Alright, till now this code is as same as our previous example only, see. Same as previous example only. Understood or not? Okay, well, now let us go to main method. Create the sorry guys. I'm sorry. Display method to print the values. So what do you have now? 3 fields, 1 constructor, and a display method which is going to print you all the values. Okay. Now let's come to main. Create the instance of the class. Passing a ID here. Okay. Now call the display method. Console dot read line. And I did not write anything new in this code, guys. It is the same old code, just in the previous example, what I shown you, that only I shown you. But there I have 4 constructors, here I have only 1 constructor. Understood, all of you? Yes or not? Okay. Guys, we have a concept called as copy constructor. What is copy constructor? What is copy constructor means? Listen. Suppose if I say copycon demo CD2 is equals to CD1. CD2 is a reference. CD2 is a reference. And when I call CD2.display, I'll get the same values only. And if anything changed with the help of CD1, that change will reflect to CD2. And any change done on CD2 reflects to CD1. So here, do we have 1 memory location or 2 memory locations? 1 memory and both are accessing the same memory. We already learnt about this 2 weeks back. Understood or not? But now my requirement is I want to create another instance of the same class with the same values. Not a reference, I'm telling you. What I want? Another instance. So if you want another instance, again you say new, copycon demo and pass it. So what happens? 1 more instance is created with same set of values. Understand me? I'm creating 1 more instance with the same set of values. But imagine here you're writing code for connecting to a database. In this constructor, you're writing the code for connecting to a database and load all the values. And the database is present on a remote computer. The database is present on a remote computer. And it is taking time. It is taking time to connect and load the data. Imagine like this. This type of scenarios you will face now, going forward now. What is that? Every time you create the instance, it will connect to database and load the data. And database is on a remote computer with heavy load. When there is a heavy load, then what happens? When there is a heavy load on that, it will take time to load now. It will take time to load. See, you're required to purchase, all of you are required to purchase a book. All of you are required to purchase a book. And you need to purchase a book in a bookstore. Purchase a book in a bookstore. One of your friend has went there, purchased a book and got it. After you looking into the book, you too want to purchase the same book now. You want to purchase the book now. But the bookstore is very far away. The bookstore is very far away. And the bookstore is not like a far away. It's heavy crowded. When you go there, lot of people waiting there for the same book now. And you traveled all the way far away there. After going there, the time you reach, the stock is over. Again, you're required to come back. Same scene repeats tomorrow again. Understood or not? So what you thought is, why do I do all this nonsense? You already have a book now. Let me take a photocopy of it. Why do I need to travel all this way, going there, the book not available? So what I thought is, you have a book. Okay, please give me your book. I'll take a photocopy of it and give you back again. So that I don't require to travel all the way and again getting rejected there, come back. Understood me or not? Exactly. Whenever you create the instance of the class, it connects to a database and loading the data. The database is on a remote computer and it is having heavy load. So whenever you're trying to connect the database, sometimes you're not even getting the response. Without getting the response, it is just going to say timed out. Timeout error is coming up now. Why? Database is not serving you on time now. Again, you need to try. Again, 2-3 times you tried. All the times timed out happened now. Are you getting me or not? So in such scenario, we'll get it out. What is that? Actually, the new instance also should be created with 105 only, na? Yes or not? Without connecting to the database, why can't we copy the values from CD1 into CD2 directly? That's what I said to you, man. Why to go all the way there? You have a book now. Why can't you take a photocopy of it? Same way, why can't we copy the values from CD1 directly into CD2? Are you clear? If I can do that, I don't require to connect to a remote database again, waste the time and all. Simply, already one connected and loaded all the data. Just simply copy the data into the second one. Job done. Both will have same values. Both will have same values. Are you clear? And if you want to do that, your class requires a copy constructor in it. What it requires? Copy constructor. What is the copy constructor, sir? Watch it. Public. Copy con demo. I'm writing a new constructor. And all of you watch it. For a constructor, we can pass parameters now. Parameters are types. Can I pass string as a parameter? Can I pass object as a parameter? And don't forget, this string and object are classes. Yes or not? Every class is a type. Correct now? Now what is your type now, you know? The type will be the same class only in this scenario. Understand, guys? What is the parameter type? Same class type. Means copy con demo will take a copy con demo only as a parameter now. Are you clear? Now tell me, after defining this constructor, how many constructors you have? One or two? Tell me, how many constructors you have in the code? One constructor, two constructors. Two constructors, correct? Now tell me, the second time when I'm creating an instance, observe it, guys. First one takes int, second one takes copy con demo. So can I pass CD1? Come on, involve in the subject. Can I pass CD1 or not? And don't forget, CD1 is already having the values in it now. Now all the values comes to CD. Now inside, what did you write in the first one? Here you written the code for loading from database, correct? But here I'm not writing the code for loading from database here. Here I'm trying to copy the values from CD1 now. See, when I started writing, that only implemented the code, you noticed it? See again. This dot id is equals to cd.id. Name is equals to cd.name. Balance is equals to cd.balance. Actually, no need to write this dot also here. Directly id is equals to cd.id is enough. Are you clearer or not? So what is going to happen now? Another instance is created by copying the values from existing instance. Did you understand the concept of the copy constructor or not? What is the copy constructor? It is an approach of copying the values from one instance to another instance of the same class. One instance to another instance. Now both are going to have the same values only, see? And your question will be like, sir, we can do with a reference also? No. Reference means both will have same memory. Any changes of CD1 reflects to CD2, correct? But this is not same memory, two separate memories. The changes of CD1 will not reflect to CD2. The changes of CD2 will not reflect to CD1. I'll prove you, watch. Watch, initially both are having the same values, right? Because as it is, we copied. Okay, let's do one thing. I'm adding a right line, just a line break I added. After that, I'll say cd1.balance is equals to 6000. Okay, na? cd1.balance is equals to 6000 and reprinting all the values again. Reprinting all the values again. Check, guys. Change did not reflect. Same way. $7,000. Sorry. Here we'll use CD2. Check. This change did not reflect here. This change did not reflect here. Understood, all of you? That's what. See, reference means, again, both are going to be one single memory only. But it's not a reference. Reference means what you know, both are reading from the same book. Both are reading from the same book. If the first one makes some change, second one will see the change now. But this is not that. You have a book, you have taken a photocopy of the book now. So it is not one book, it is two separate books. If the first one makes any changes in the book, that change won't reflect in you, or you make anything, that change won't reflect to the second one. These are two separate copies. So did you understand the advantage of the copy constructor or not? What is it? When you want to copy the values of one instance to another instance, we use a copy constructor. Generally, why we use them, you know? Long back, we learned about arrays, remember? Tomorrow, your array has 100 items in it here. Imagine there is an array which contains 100 items in it. You wanted to manipulate those values. You want to write some logic to change the values. You written all the code, changed off all the values. After changing all these values, finally, you want to change them back to their original again. Did you get my point or not? You manipulated here. After manipulating all by the end now, I want to revert back all the changes. But you can't do. Why you cannot do? How will you do? Yeah, simple. I have an array with a set of integer values. I called a sort method and arranged them in a sorting order. Again, can I turn back to original arrangement? Not possible. Why not possible? Who remembers? You modified of this now. What is the original arrangement? Who remembers this? Yes or not? In such scenarios, what we generally do, you know, we use a copy constructor, copy the values from one array to another array, and we try making all the manipulations on the second array so that the original array will not be disturbed now. Again, if you are asked to get back the old values, again what you'll do? Change to the old array, the original array. No, sir, new values I want. I have the new values in the new array now. Understood my point or not? That is what, without making modifications on the original copies, we try to make the changes on the duplicate copies on this. Not like duplicate copies, we make modifications on another copy. Are you clearer or not? Can we store that array to temp variable? What is a temp variable? I don't know. Where you came across a temp variable, man? Vishal, what is a temp variable and where you have a temp variable in C#? First point you need to understand is programming languages, when you're working, all are temporary only. Why? If I stop the program, everything is destroyed. The concept of the temp variables and all will come only when you're working with a persistent storage like a database. When you go to database, then you have temporary. But when you come to programming languages, we never have this word called as a temporary at all. Why? Everything is temporary here. Once you stop, everything is lost now. Again, you're asking the same question. What is meant by temporary variable? We don't have any concept called temporary variable at all now. I mean any temporary variable. Again, the same question you're asking. What do you mean by temporary variable? There's nothing called temporary variable here. Even CD1 is temporary here. Even CD1 is temporary here. Why? I stop it. CD1 is destroyed. The life cycle, all this scope is only within the life cycle. That's all. From the starting to ending. When you are making it permanent by storing in a database, then only you have a right to use the word called as temporary and persisted. But here everything is temporary. There is nothing persisted here. Okay? Okay. Well, guys, did you understand me or not? Understood the idea of copy constructor? It is for copying the values from one to the other. One to the other. Yeah, someone asked this question already. In the case we can use reference Nanda Kumar. Okay, got it. You're clear now? So we don't use, we don't create references. References problem is changes of one reflects to the second one. But now it's a new instance. So changes of the first one doesn't reflect to the second one at at any point of time. This is completely a new copy. That's what I said here. That's why I said here, before you understand this, understand the other example, what I said here now. What is it about a book and taking a photocopy? Both can read the same book. But what is the problem? Someone is going to write something there, second one can see that. You are the owner of the book here, I am reading your book and written something there. You get angry on it now? Or who are you to write on my book? Yes or not? Okay? And you write something, I will see all the things. I write something, you will see all the things. Why this confusion? Let's have two separate copies. My changes won't reflect to you. Your changes won't reflect to me. That's what. For everything, there will be some requirement here. Scenario based. All the things we need to learn like scenario based understanding. Different scenarios. We have different things to use. See, in our ATM system is there. At that time, we should not create another instance. We need a reference only. From the client computer, manipulate the things on the server computer. There, another copy will not work. One copy on the server, one copy on the client will not work now. In that scenario, reference only will work. Everything is scenario based. See, why do we learn all these things here? Why do we learn different concepts here? The reason behind this is when people start developing the applications, they came across different requirements here. For every requirement, there is a solution available. Understood my point or not? When you are developing applications, different times, you have different requirements now. For every requirement, there is a solution. That's what we are learning. Until you go into real implementation, all points will not be clearer in the day one. That is why I will relate everything to your real life and tell you, Arey, this is like wrapping your mobile phone with a pouch. Why I said you about that? Because you understand about encapsulation. Understood or not? Wrapping. And I said you about polymorphism. Then I said you about behaviors. How do you behave? Same thing only. Relate with your real life and the subject becomes easy to understand. Okay? Okay, this is the scenario. Like how I do, application also should behave in the same style now. That's what. Okay now? Well guys, this is all about the copy constructor. Read this. It is a constructor using which we can create a new instance of the class with the help of an existing instance of the same class. Earlier what I said, creating a copy with the help of an existing instance. That is reference. But you are creating an instance with the help of existing instance. Okay? Which copies the attribute values from the existing instance into. Yes, we done the same thing only now. From existing we copied all the values into the new one now. And the main purpose of this constructor is to initialize a new instance with the values from an existing instance. The formal parameter type in the sense parameters here we generally use a word called formal parameter. This also, even int is also formal only. Parameters, the word parameters in correct terminology we call formal parameters. Okay. So the formal parameter type of a copy constructor will be the same class type in which it is defined. Copycon demo only, same class only, not a different class. Okay. To test copy constructor, add a new class, name it as copycon demo and write the following code. Check it out. 3 fields, 1 normal constructor, 1 copy constructor. 1 normal constructor, 1 copy constructor. Okay, basically here you don't require to use this dot here. Why sir? Why here we are writing cd dot na? Both are ID, then confusion. Here you are writing cd dot. So that's why here, even if you don't write this dot also, it will work now. But just to understand, this dot means the member of this class. To tell that we use that only. That's all. Even if you don't use, no problem. Okay. Then we have a display method to print all the values. See now, first instance I created by passing 1005. Next what I done? New instance by passing cd1. So both will print the same results now. Afterwards, I'm changing the cd1's balance and that reflects to cd2 also. I'm changing the cd2's balance and that reflects to cd1 also. Changes will be reflecting to and fro bidirectional. Okay, in the above case, CD2 is a new instance of the class which is created by copying the values from CD1. And here any changes that are performed on the members of CD1 will not reflect to members of CD2 and vice versa, because they have their own individual memory which is not accessible to others. Are you clear? Which is not accessible to others. Because we already know instances are unique. Instances are unique. Clear with copy constructor? Finally, let me sum up one thing for you. Types of constructors. This is a very, very important question tomorrow in the interviews. What is it? What are the different types of constructors? What are the different types of constructors? A very important question to be discussed. Okay? When you talk about the types of constructors, a class basically has 5 different types of constructors in it. Are you clear? A class basically has 5 different types of constructors in it. What are the 5 different types of constructors a class contains in it? Default constructors. We learned it. Parameterized constructors. We learned it. We learned this also, copy constructor. Next, static constructor. This also I taught you. Private constructor. What is this private constructor? In the inheritance, when we discussed the first rule, that only. I shown you, see, in the parent class, I defined a private constructor, and inheritance did not work now. And what we learned, if the parent class constructor is not accessible to child class, inheritance will not be possible. We learned about a private constructor also. We learned about a private constructor also. If you remember, we learned about all the 5 different types of constructors. So tomorrow, in an interview, you will be asked a question like, what are the types of constructors? And you should answer all the 5. First one, default constructor. What's default constructor? Read it. A constructor defined without any parameters is known as a default constructor, which will initialize fields of a class with default values. It will initialize fields of a class with default values. And if a class is not defined with any explicit constructor, then the class will contain an implicit default constructor. We already know this. Any doubts about default constructor? Online students, do anyone have any questions on the default constructor? Okay then. Second one, parameterized constructor. What is a parameterized constructor? If a constructor is defined with at least one parameter, then we call it as parameterized constructor. And these constructors must be explicitly defined, but never. I already said you on that day, compiler can define only default constructor. Compilers can never define your parameterized constructors, man. Compiler defined constructors are always default. Okay, next. Parameterized constructors are used for initializing fields of a class with given set of values which we pass while creating the instance. The values are passed while creating the instance now. Third one. Today only I taught you. What is that? Copy constructor. It is a constructor which takes the same type as its parameter and initializes the fields of the class by copying values from an existing instance of the same class. A copy constructor will not create a reference to the class. That is, it will create a new instance for the class by allocating memory for all the members of that class. And very importantly, any changes made on the source will not reflect to the new instance and vice versa. Just now we discussed on the copy constructor. Changes of the source will not reflect to the destination. Both are 2 separate memory locations. Fourth one. If a constructor is defined explicitly by using static modifier, we call it as a static constructor. And this constructor is the first block of code which executes under the class. Remember or not? The first block of code to run under a class is static constructor. And they're responsible for initializing static fields. Static means constant also will come here. Constant is also static only. Okay. And moreover, these constructors cannot be overloaded. Yes, guys, there's a new point what you need to remember, because I thought about overloading now. Today only morning I said about overloading of the constructors. And do remember this point, static constructors cannot be overloaded. What constructors can be overloaded? Non-static constructors only can be overloaded. Why, sir? I already said you about this one. What is that? Static constructors cannot be parameterized. Static constructors cannot be. When parameterization is not there, how overloading will come now? If you have parameter, then only overloading comes. No parameters, no overloading now. That's why static constructors cannot be overloaded, because they cannot be parameterized. This constructor is called implicitly before the first instance is created or any static members are referenced. This point doesn't make any sense at all. No need to talk. Why, because already we discussed what is that? Is the first block of code which executes under a class. When I said that is the first block of code which executes under the class, again, it's no point telling you before any instance is created or any static member is referenced. That is only the first block. Before the main method only, that will be called. Before the main method only, that will be called. I clearly shown you on that day. Execution starts from main method only, but main method won't execute. Without executing main method, it will jump to static constructor, executes the static constructor, comes back to execute the main method. Okay, now? Lastly, can we use private constructor and static constructor in same class? Yeah, you can. You can. Why? One is static and other is non-static here. One is static and one is non-static. Already one day I shown you writing the two constructors in the class. Watch it. Did I use any scope on it? Tell me. So it is private only now. See now, this is a static constructor, private constructor, non-static, private. Okay, see possible, see, we have live example also. That is only his question is, can we define private and static at the same time? Why he asked this particular question is maybe parameterless. Okay, yes, you can define two parameterless by one is static and one is non-static. No problem at all. Last one. If a constructor is explicitly declared by using private modifier, we call it as a private constructor. If a class contains only private constructor, no public constructor, other classes cannot create instance of that class. Remember, man, if a class contains only private constructor but no, a private constructor but no public constructor, no one can create the instance of this class, as well as inheritance is also not possible. Okay, create instance of that class as well as inheritance is also not possible, because the rule number 1 tells you very clearly, parent class constructor should be accessible to child class. Next, the use of private constructor is to serve singleton classes. What is it? Singleton classes, where a singleton class is one which limits the number of instances created to 1. See, today we can create any number of instances to our class now. Do we have any limitation? But tomorrow I want to put a restriction. What restriction? The number of instances that should be created for this class should be 1 only. What is that? The number of instances that can be created for this class should be 1 only. If that is the requirement, we define a private constructor in the class and restrict it. We define a private constructor in the class and restrict it. I will tell you when we are working with web applications about this singleton class. Are you getting me? I'll tell you in the web applications about the singleton class. But remember, if your constructor of a class is private, you can restrict that class for creating only one single instance. Multiple instance creation will not be possible. Is that clear? Yes or not? How many instances you can create? 1 only. We can restrict it. By default not restricted, but we can write the logic to restrict. we can write the logic to restrict. And if you do that, that is called as singleton. I said, we'll talk about this in the web application development about the singleton class. Okay, what is a singleton class and all? Am I clear about constructors, all of you? And see if you have any doubts on any of these topics of the constructors. As I said you can refer to the videos. I already shown you. There are 60 videos here and all of you can watch it. Constructor part 1, constructor part 2, constructor part 3, constructor part 4. Actually, earlier I did not tell you. Why Because I explained about constructors initially. In the middle again I said about static and non-static constructor. Again in the middle I said about overloading of the constructors. Again we talked about copy constructors. I said you about different topics and different scenarios to you now. Now we are done everything about a constructor. Now we are done everything about a constructor. Now, guys, if you have any doubts on the constructor, refer to these 4 videos. The 4 videos will explain you about everything about a constructor. Are you clearer or not? The second video here, it talks about the types of constructors, what I explained you today. Understood me? So here, what is a constructor? This will talk about why do we need a constructor in our class. And this will talk about static and non-static constructor. The 4 videos from 3 to 6 will explain you everything in detail about a constructor if you have any doubts or questions. Clearer or not? This is all about the constructors. So method overloading is done. Operator overloading is done yesterday. Constructor overloading is done. And in this process, we also learned about a copy constructor. That is also overloading only. One parameter, one normal parameter and one same class parameter, copy constructor. So that is also overloading. Okay, now? Yeah, this is about the things. So what we need to learn still, indexer overloading, deconstructor overloading. I will tell about indexer overloading when I teach you indexers, and I will tell you deconstructor overloading when I teach you deconstructors. Okay? Meanwhile, stick to these particular 3 things. What is it? A method, operator, constructor. Am I clear, guys? Let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.